We will never, ever not value ourselves for working hard and trying to provide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something that is just ingrained like into our DNA, and that is what validates us as men to be like, I'm a man, I can do this stuff.
Yeah. Hi, big dogs. We're back. And this time, I have my sexy boyfriend.
Woohoo!
So, we have been asked on a regular basis on social media to do another podcast together. If you have not listened to our first one, I'm going to link it for you in the show notes. But today we're going to I popped up a question box on social media, but we are going to talk a little bit about, I feel like communication, because that's something that Corey does very well and I am learning how to do very well.
You do really well.
So I posted a story, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and it's quoted, "Working on becoming your calmest self is the most beautiful thing you can do for yourself and for your partner. Your calmest self will prevent fights, create more safety, deepen intimacy, and strengthen the overall connection." And I think that's huge and actually reminded me of you.
Why is that?
Because I am one of the most reactive people I know. That in turn of when things don't go my way, when I feel, I don't know, I suppose triggered in any form of sense, I get really heated and I get really reactive. And for the first time in my life being in a relationship with you, I learned that communication can be calm. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? He's not yelling at me. He's not getting frustrated. Like, what's going on? Where did you learn to do that?
Well, I teach it.
Yeah, that doesn't answer my question. Where did you learn?
I would say it's a lot of self-reflection. I was going to turn my headphones down a little bit. There we go, because mine are real loud there. Yeah, I would say it literally come from a lot of self-reflection, learning a lot of John Gray, looking at a lot of David Dieter, researching a lot of David Dieter. And what else I read Nonviolent Communication. So I read all of these different books. I read all these different books and listened to all these different podcasts, and I listened to all this stuff. And I was like, cool, I'm going to start putting this into practice, not just in any intimate relationship. And I had it with some ex-partners as well and tried and failed.
Me every day.
I wouldn't say we fail. I think we get through it pretty well though. And yeah, I put it into practice with my friends, with my parents, had some pretty crazy exercises like sitting my parents down and having a big old chat with them, just being like, here, this is what we're doing. And then as a leader, someone in business, talking to clients, customers and different things like that, and also helping other people navigate through. I'm like, cool, I've learnt this, let's test it out on you. And then we'd come back and be like, oh my God, it worked.
Yeah.
And just made a whole lot of sense to me. So after a little while of making the different connections and how to communicate and how different people talk and watching it work on people, was amazing. But I did start this. I actually had a memory the other day. Actually, I started this when I was, I think 20. Yeah, was when I actually started thinking about relationship communication. I had it with like
and that's what I was going to say, because like I'm 22, Corey's 7 years older than me, and so I was going to say majority of the people and the people in my DMs, the people that ask us questions, are like, how, you know, okay, you get that because your boyfriend's older, but that's exactly what I'm saying. You've been conscious of it for a long time, but it's probably taken you a fair few years to be able to perfect that, which is huge. And I have the perfect example of, I reckon, the first proper argument that Corey and I ever had. We were on a holiday and we're driving in the car. I don't even remember what it was about, like at all. And we're driving along and he just like goes like angry in the face. But the words that came out of his mouth scared me, because he was so calm and he said, I am so angry right now and I just need 5 minutes. And like listening to that, I've never been so scared in my fucking life. I was like, what do you mean this is so calm? Because I've been used to in past relationships, especially men being reactive, being aggressive, all those sorts of things. So to be on the receiving end of that is really scary. And I think realistically, if you are somebody that's wanting to create less reactive communication, where would you start?
Well, there's one thing is understanding where it comes from. Yeah. So there's different types of reactivity. So there's, you know, being passive aggressive with things.
That's my fave.
Yeah, that's a form of aggression.
Yeah.
In the book To Be a Man by Robert, can't remember his name. He talks about like channeling aggression and how important it is. And there's so many different types of aggression, like avoiding, withdrawing is aggression. So some guys may not actually be reactive in terms of like they get loud or tone or like, or women. It's actually getting angry, by the way, is a feminine trait, not a masculine trait, by the way, which is interesting. No, it is, because like men have, if they've unintegrated with their feminine, then they become quite primitive And when they are reactive with something, they come across and it's like, rah.
And before all the independent hot girls start raging at my boyfriend, you want to give us a difference between feminine and masculine energy, because everybody has both. It's like black and white. It's like yin and yang. It's not, we all have masculine and feminine.
Yeah, it's so true. And, you know, the people who have integrated, you know, both of them are like, their level of communication is
a lot better.
It's a lot better.
It's less fiery.
Yeah. But example, like you can I'll speak it in terms of like falling in love with the feminine and falling in love with the masculine, because you can fall in love with the feminine not within a person, and you can fall in love with the feminine at a place or doing something.
What?
Hear me out. So for example, if you find a craving and you just like, you want to go to Bali and you want to relax and you don't want to have any schedule because you know it's going to be like flowy and you're doing whatever, and like that's like this beautiful feminine energy that like you get to, and it's like you're falling in love with the place. Yeah. And then with masculine energy, it's more, all right, I want to go somewhere like Melbourne, and, you know, I'm going to go there. I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to crush. I'm going to do like these goals, got these things set out because I like that city vibe. You know, that's like a masculine place. So the difference between that in like a girl and a guy is to just use the common like terminology of like a masculine energy is like a ship in the ocean, and the feminine energy is the deep, vast ocean. Right. And in relationships,
I love his examples because he always uses like, we just want to know the difference.
Yeah, but I got to explain it so you do know the difference, right? So in terms of like the ship on the ocean and the masculine energy with that, it's like they're riding the waves. It's navigated, and the feminine energy is like flowy, but it can also be like a raging storm, but it can also be calm, pristine, and like real beautiful. And it's men's jobs to, you know, well, it's not a man's job, it's the job within the masculine within inside you to understand where the feminine is and make sure you're moving it. And then what happens is if you don't have a good like masculine energy or don't have a good feminine energy in whatever areas, because you have good and healthy areas in like all different parts of your life, understanding where the different parts are and then being able to control them.
Absolutely.
Example, like a good masculine energy would look like being calm, collected, composed, making a really good decision. Yeah. And when like there's a scenario between relationships where it's like we're frustrated, the masculine doesn't leave. He sits there. Yeah. Girl or guy, doesn't matter. They're like, okay, I'm in this. And calm, composed, let me hear, let me listen. Yeah. This is what I think. Feminine, on the other hand, is a little bit different. I'm not actually too sure how it plays out. It would be surrendering and opening into trust.
Yeah. And I think just on the note of that, like I didn't realize how much feminine energy that I lacked until I met Corey. And one way to open up your feminine is to be in a relationship, full stop. And so for me, I sat in my masculine for so long. Go here, do this, crush this, don't talk to me. I don't need you. I'm independent, whatever. And I know that a lot of people are going to relate to me on that because a lot of people are drawn to me because hot girl shit vibes. But what I have learned over time, and especially in a relationship, that the more that I've been able to actually cultivate that non-toxic feminine energy, the better my relationship, not just with Corey, but with myself has been too, which is huge.
Yeah, well, a relationship is the perfect gym to get into to learn like everything about yourself. It's the best testing ground so that you can open up into deeper love and learn about yourself and be better leader, better communicator, better articulator. It's like the best place to do that. And one thing as well, like you are really feminine, but you're really feminine in like so many other areas. But because you've been closed off beforehand, that in a relationship and relying on other people has been really scary for you. Yeah, that's when your walls go, oh, and you come up.
And I think on the note of that too, because a lot of people on Instagram and how they find this podcast as well is like they already know all of my previous dating history, which is why when I found you, they're like, oh my God, what the fuck? Because it's like I've talked about the cheating, I've talked about the ghosting, I've talked about all the things. And so, yeah, when you know, as proof for you guys, it's like when you're actually in the right place, you can reopen up again if the space is given to you because it feels safe for you. And you should never, ever, like, trust me when I say when you know, because, you know, there's so many times if you have to question, it's fucking not it, is it? It's not it at all.
Well, actually got a question for you. What were the like sort of beliefs that you sort of drinking off a camera? You're getting in mine.
Sorry.
You're right. Have a little slurp on the edge.
I'm drinking iced latte and I was trying not to get it in the microphone.
It's fine. People can't hear it through a straw. Hey guys, just in case I'm drinking a hazelnut latte. Is what was sort of the things for you when you were like, initially, I think this may be a bad thing or a belief system, and then you've gone, oh, I've had to change, or this is actually healthy, or this is how we actually communicate
in our relationship?
Yeah, just in terms of how we've
I feel like I've rewritten my idea on relationships full stop with you. So if you are somebody that hasn't been modeled, and to be honest with you, as you know, majority of people that we know haven't even been modeled good quality adult relationships, right? Like, yeah. What were you going to say?
No, nothing.
The look on his face is like, oh, I got something else to say.
No.
And so, like, for me, I actually had no idea. Like, literally, my idea of what a male, and I say male because I'm attracted to men, was supposed to look like was like toxic feminine.
Yeah.
Like, that's legit what it was. And toxic feminine in a man, I should say. So it's like emotionally manipulative and stuff like that, right? So that's what I was just used to. I was used to being ghosted. I was used to being being put last, all the things. And so I met Corey, and like the second date, he's like asked me to go into his phone and have a look at something. Can you just do this and send this? And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's letting me like go into his phone for a start. And like one of the questions that I got asked was like the biggest red flags when you're seeing someone, they always put their phone face down. You know, and so things, I don't even remember what your question was, just in terms of what communication and what else.
It was more like the beliefs that changed, you know, when you sort of had like either expectations or you were like, assumptions that you had within a relationship that you went, oh, it's different.
Oh, 100% that I had to do everything.
What do you mean?
I was always so used to being the one to plan the dates. Let's go here. Let's do this. I'll call you. I'll text you, whatever.
Masculine as.
Yeah. Which now I know that when you've got true masculine people in a relationship, you just fucking butt heads. And we know that. It makes sense, right? And that's why opposites attract isn't just about sexes. It's about anything. It's about energy. And so for me, like having to do everything and not letting you control anything full stop. And that's also came out negatively in our relationship because like I couldn't let him carry my bag from the car to inside.
Do you know how much I love it when you let me control? Like anything, like in control of conversation, in control of decisions that we're doing. Like when you let me go through, I love it.
Do you know how hard it's been for me to have to surrender into that?
Makes me feel like a man.
Yeah, I know. But like, I also like being the big dog.
Yeah, you are a big dog, like everywhere else in your life.
Yeah. And I think like and that's something that I kind of want to note because again, a lot of the females that are my audience are masculine, get it done, crushing it females. You can be both. That's one thing that I've had to rewrite and understand is like, I actually can be both a feminine, beautiful, la-di-da-di-da princess in my relationship. And you're actually allowed to be too. And this is something we've integrated for me as of recent, isn't it? Yeah. Corey's like, bitch, you are allowed to be needy. Like you're allowed to.
I'm so surprised you said this on the podcast.
Absolutely.
There's like a real big like moment you had. You're like, don't tell anyone that I'm needy.
Yeah, but when you integrate it, you accept it, right?
True.
So I'm accepting it. I'm allowed to be a princess. I am a princess in the best way. But I think I was so worried about leaning into that because one, I was scared of swaying too far. And it felt like, even though it wasn't that way, it felt like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my independence. Oh my God, I'm not going to be Chloe anymore because like the Chloe the concept of self that I've attached myself to is like the hardcore, get it done, fucking savage kind of vibe. But I'm like, but you get to be both.
Yeah. And beforehand, previously with like you, your business, your relationships, your clients, everything is like, it's all been dependent on you and you trust yourself, right? Over anyone else. You're like, well, you know, that's one thing that limits people from getting success in the business or getting to the next stage of their life or like whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And like with us, you've had to like really work on trust. And it's like, obviously you trust yourself and like you don't trust like anyone else. So like, well, if they're not going to do it, like I'm going to have to, which puts a lot of pressure on your shoulders. So the deeper that we fall into love and the deeper like our connection goes, the more you got to trust, which every time for you, it's difficult. And then you have to like face that, lean into it, face that, lean into it. And
every time. It feels like I've fucking seen a hurdle every week of something else that I've got to just like let go of. But again, it's actually really beautiful, isn't it? Like it's so beautiful because exactly right. Like you say, you inhibit yourself because at the end of the day, yes, whilst having self-trust is important, it only limits you because you are one person, you can only be stretched so far. But when you have the ability to lean on someone, trust other people. But I think in defense of that, because I had never been able to trust anybody else and people had always done wrong by me, I was like, well, who does this motherfucker think he is coming here letting me trust him? No way. Like, you know.
The resistance.
Oh, so hard.
The resistance and the resignation. There's so many times, guys, we get into like a little dispute or something and Chloe would just resign. Or she keeps trying to resign out. And I'm like, would you stop resigning, please? Like, we are in this. We're going to get through it, babe. But
I'm like, alt control delete myself from like, even if it was like, just a serious conversation originally, I was like, how can I just maneuver myself away from this? Because it's hard.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I think, for anybody that's been in a situation like that, know that the right partner will hold space for you in that. And that's really important too. Because if somebody cares about you and loves you enough, whilst that's not an excuse for you to just like have a sook and not, sort yourself out. Because Corey actually knew that from the minute that we started dating. I was like, oh, by the way, I got some issues. I've gone like I did. Because I had spent so much time trying to pretend that I didn't have the issues. Yeah. But they fucking rear their head.
We all got them.
Yeah, absolutely. And they rear their head in, whether you've dated someone for 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years, right? And so I literally from the beginning was like, I've got my issues. Like I'm going to psychology, I'm doing my thing. But like, I just need to let you know that like, you're probably going to have to hold some space around that. And what's so fucking crazy about that is the last time and the first time I ever told someone that guy ended up cheating on me with his ex-wife and got her pregnant. Oh. So to be able to say that again to Corey was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because I was just waiting. We actually have a joke that Corey's got a wife and kids because of what happened. So it's a way to make situations lighthearted, but like it was fucking one of the scariest things I've ever done, because I was like, you're going to hurt me now. Like I was preempting it.
Yeah. And I've had to like, as a guy, I think in like our relationship sometimes where we are, it's like, well, there are parts of ourselves just in the modern world where we have to prove ourselves. Yeah. Like trust for men, we find it really easy. We fall into trust and then we get our hearts broken because we trust so quickly, right? It's just like a commitment thing that guys have when they 100% commit, they trust 100% and then they get their heart broken to make the feet, like their partner it. And then like from our point of view is a little bit different. But one thing that I did want to touch on and just talk about was I was also ready for a relationship. Yeah. I matured myself enough that I was like, okay, the next challenges I need to take, obviously doing a lot of personal development. I teach this stuff. I do the inner work. I have programs for days on this. And I obviously use it on myself. It was like, cool, I got to like mature myself and I got to get ready for a relationship, because whether it's now or in the future, I have to get, number one, get the skills to get really good at it. And two, I'm going to want it at one stage. So I'm going to have to go out there and 100% commit. So being extremely ready was an amazing thing, because then like when I met you, it's like, okay, cool. Well, let's go in and then trust. And then like, develop a sense of trust between us and know that it's going to take a period of time, and like, cool, I'm have to keep proving myself, not in like a sense of there's like expectations or whatever. It's just like, I have to, because it's like, we have this huge map. It's like a labyrinth of just like all these little bits of trust that where we need to grow so I can navigate you. And every time I get to a dead end, I go,
oh, fuck, here we go.
Turn around, go somewhere else. Where do we go? Like figure out the actual maze of like who you are.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people in relationships where either the male's ready or the female's ready and the other person isn't.
Yeah.
In any other relationships. And it's like, I do think like for you, where you're at and like you being really mature for your age, you're like, yes, I love and I do want a relationship.
But what was so funny is before I met you, I didn't think I was. I was so done. Yeah. I was so done. The last guy that I saw before Corey ghosted me for the second time. How does that fucking happen to anyone? I don't know. It happened to me. Yeah. And then that was it. I like closed so many loops in my life and I was like, I'm fucking done. And then a couple of weeks later, Corey was like, I don't remember. We went to the markets in the morning anyway. And he asked me on a date and I was like, yeah, fuck it. Like, I'll just go, whatever. And now we're here.
But I wanted to raise a point is like, just to talk about real quickly is like, well, what if someone's in their relationship and they're ready to mature and they're like leaning into trust, but the other person isn't? I think especially for girls, because if they get into a relationship with a guy who, for example, hasn't done some of the work, they're not 100% ready, they want to commit. It's like, that's tough. I mean, what do girls do in that position?
I don't know. You're not going to like my answer. I'm going to say, fucking run.
Get the fuck out of there, babe.
Because girls, and you would know, girls always go, but I can change him. But I can save him. I can love him enough. And I've done it. I've loved him enough. And like, I had an ex-partner say to me, if I could lay by you for in 5 years, I would. And I'm like, that's not fucking fair, because you're not willing to step up to the bar now. And it's no disrespect to him. It's no like disrespect to anybody else. And one of the questions in the freaking box today was some guy literally said to a girl, I want to be with you, but I want to be single for the next couple of weeks to get it out of my system. Bitch, no. Like it's the same thing. It's the like, because if you knew, and especially guys love you, but they're very simple creatures. When you want something,
we're so simple. When it comes down to it, think we're complex.
No, like when you want it, you'll fucking go get it.
You'll know anytime, especially with guys, like I'm just putting out here for every single girl to listen to right now, is like, if there's any mixed signs, we're not in.
No.
Guys are 100% in or they're not. We know immediately. I can't remember where the science or the studies are for things. It's like we sort of fall in love so quickly. Like we'll know if we want to 100% commit to someone or not. And you'll see it. And if there's all the signs are at the start that they're not 100% committed straight away, it's like they've already made the decision the back of their mind that they're like, well, I still want to get someone better. Or try to get someone who they think is going to be better. And a lot of guys who aren't integrated will then tackle their current relationship and self-sabotage. And they're like, oh no, I want you back.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back and then they go, oh, but I still haven't 100% committed. Yeah. And then they can say all the words that they can to keep the girl around. But it's not what they want. It's out of comfort.
It is. And on the topic of that, I would just like to reiterate that it's not a you thing. Like it's really not. I used to be like, oh, it's me. Like what's wrong with me, whatever. But I absolutely agree with that because any other scenario that I've ever been in, it doesn't mean that maybe you're not it and they don't not want you, but they're not fully all in and you do not like, you don't deserve a half-assed love.
They're just not ready to go in. They're just still like.
And a lot of guys in that age bracket, because I'm only 22 and a lot of the girls that listen are in that age bracket as well. A lot of guys in that age, like even you, like we joke all the time. I'm like, I would not have wanted to date Corey when he was 22. Like you just weren't sorted. We would have clashed heads, right? So I absolutely agree with that. It's like, if you will know, and I used to convince myself in other situations, I'm like, nah, this is it, I know. But as a female especially, you've got that, like, you got the gut feeling, you know, and you're like, nah, because they won't give you a reason to think otherwise.
Yeah, it's a disservice to him too if you keep staying around.
Yeah. Because
the only reason is, all right, all girls need to know this. Men don't want to feel feelings. Right, we don't, because it's scary. If it's love or it's heartache, either or, there's a yin and a yang. We don't want to feel them because anytime we feel like an emotion, unless it's like something like, oh, I won something. If it's any sort of emotion, it's like uncomfortable with us because we're not used to it. And it's a little bit different because the feminine soul wants to feel all the feelings and like go in between and all of them, which is like an amazing thing. Mm-hmm. And because we don't want to feel, we're always like half-assed and scared. And unless in the position where things are nipped in the bud early and like moved on and whatever it is, and it helps the guys mature. Mm-hmm. So it's actually doing a service to him to be like, okay, it's actually not me. And it's not him. It's just the situations that we're in. We just have an attraction that we are connected to. It's like, well, if you take apart that like attraction, what is there? There's no connection.
No, there's not.
So, and because there's no actual real connection, it's like, well, if you let that go, that's going to be the best thing ever. Now he's going to go mature and you're going to go find someone that's better for you.
Absolutely. Fucking knows. And I think, unfortunately, as females too, like we get really, really attached to the idea of like the chase. But if I just keep showing up, if we go on one more date, then I'll convince him. One more date, one more, one more. And it's like, it's never one more. Yeah. It's until you put your foot down. It's until you draw the line.
Oh, yeah. And so true, because that sort of happens. It sort of happens for guys as well.
Absolutely.
Like I find that, like in my experience, guys are way more romantic than girls. Like
yeah,
we really
you're romantic as fuck. That's like when you just said, it's like when you were like, guys don't want to feel feelings. I'm like,
no, they're scared to feel feelings.
You're not.
Like, yeah, well, I have to lean into. That's like a skill that I had to take in like the back of my brain. That's like, okay, I actually want to feel feelings and I'm going to have to deal with, being extremely vulnerable, opening into trust and just leaning in 100% because I'm confident myself that if I go for a breakup or anything, whatever it is, get my heart broken, I'll be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys can't because they haven't like felt their emotions. But unconsciously, they really do. They're the real romantic ones. And there was a point I was going to make there and I forgot it. In terms of guys being the real romantic ones, they as soon as they do commit to a girl, that's what all girls know, is they get comfortable straight away.
Yeah.
And as soon as they get comfortable, they just think, oh, she loves me, I love her. Everything's good now. I don't have to do anything or whatever. And that's when like relationship tips start. And I do believe that. Sorry. Burping sparkling water, not doing it in the mic.
Please cut that out, George.
I think that I'm asking a favor from all girls right now for all their partners. And it's to ask your partner to say, like, to tell them what love you need on a regular basis.
What love
you need on a regular basis.
That's huge. And I know that, like, for any girls listening, you're like, oh, I can't do that because that was me.
Oh, yeah.
It was so hard. Whereas I'm pretty good at it now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting there.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, when Corey was like, well, and it's very different. People like, oh, la-da-da-da, you should know your partner's love languages. This is the next step in that. Because, it's all good and well to know your partner's love language. And I definitely think if you don't know, fucking run and do that immediately.
Yeah. There's a test you can do online. Just the 5lovelanguages.com.
It takes like 5 minutes. It's fine, right? And then after that, right, it's like, yeah, you actually need to communicate. And someone sent me a DM about this yesterday. She was like, oh, it's so funny when you actually realize that you need to be the one to express how you feel because you know that your partner can't read your mind, right? Queens, I know you're listening. I know you think your partner, if you just be a little bit more passive aggressive and like grunt a little bit more and do whatever I'm fine, he'll know. He doesn't know. He fucking doesn't know. He doesn't know. You need to tell him, right? And so originally seeing Corey when things would be wrong and he'd be like, babe, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Oh, and then I'm at a point now when he's like, what's wrong? And I go on the tip of my tongue. He's like, no, I'm fine. And I'm like, Chloe.
Oh, I'll say it though. When we're there, I'll be like, okay, I'll tell you. I say to Chloe's face, Chloe, I have no idea what you need. I have no idea what you want. Remember, I'm a dumb male. Emotionally, like I'm a dumb male, whatever it is. You keep saying you're fine. I know there's something not fine.
Yeah. So on the topic of that, I'm not perfect at it either, right? But I think, absolutely. Corey's completely right. Asking for what you need. And so this was huge because we actually talked about this and I'm going to use social media as something because we've talked about this a lot. Corey has coined social media love as the 5th love language. Sixth, that's what I meant. Yep. The 6th love language. And I actually think in, today and age, I actually agree with you so we were talking about how like, well, what way do you feel most loved? And so for me, Corey buys me coffees because that's a way that I just feel really loved, right? It's small to me, but it's a big deal because I like coffee and he's going out of his way to go and get one for me, right? But the other thing that we've both actually liked is we both, when we share each other on social media. And because we've communicated that, we both know we receive love from each other that way. That's something that we're both really conscious of. What else is there? I feel like dinner dates, because that's like one of my faves.
And just touch, obviously.
Yeah, and we're both like, very affectionate people. But I think like you're actually allowed to ask for things and it's so hard. It's so hard because if you've never been in a position to do it before and Corey's like, yeah, but it's fun. But no, it's not.
I'm agreeing.
It's so hard.
It's vulnerability and trust because you have to ask for something that you need and it's like, well, then there's a fear of rejection. It's like, what if they don't? And then what if they don't live up to my standards? And if I'm asking for this, I'm putting myself out to, be like hurt, which I'd always tell you. I remember at the start, I'd always be like, can you please ask for this? Can you please ask for this? And then I remember I asked a couple of times. I remember we had a conversation once and it was in your bed. And I said to you, like, I really want to receive some words of affirmation.
Oh my God.
And you were like, well, that seems inauthentic to me. And I was like, well, ask me for some love right now. And then I
that's Corey's big thing. He just goes, I would love to hear some love right now. And it fucking stumps me every time. I'm like, why are we dating again?
I love you. But I remember like asking for that because I wanted to hear it. And then I said, ask me back. And then I just said a whole bunch of stuff that was on the top of my chest.
Why he loved me and whatever.
Yeah. And I was like, was that inauthentic to you? And you're like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, can I please have some? And you were like,
yeah. It's
because you said stuff and you were like, yeah.
It wasn't that I didn't know why I love him. Obviously I do, but it was just like that it was really vulnerable. And so like, when you are feeling a little bit down, when you are having a bad day, when you're not feeling whatever it may be, or if you just want to hear it, you can ask and getting really comfortable because now if he asked me, I would be fine to say. But yeah, originally it took me that couple of goes of when he would ask, but I had just never been in a position where guys had asked too. And I think as a girl also relaying to your boyfriend that it's actually okay if he asks too. And whilst he might not be there yet, I think it's really important to still bring up and have those conversations. And on the topic of that, someone actually put a question that was like, something about when your boyfriend like isn't on the same level as you and he's not ready for growth and all those sorts of things. Well, I know we talked about that before, but like what would be your response? Let's say that the girl is ready to take that next step. She wants to have those conversations. She wants to have a relationship check-in. She wants to do those things. But a boyfriend doesn't.
Well, one thing that I always say, like one of the most important things and this comes down to like some men's coaching. Let's say if the girl's in the position which is like, okay, I really want my partner to grow. Now, the thing is girls' egos are not as big as guys. So it's a lot easier for them to like invest in themselves and pay for coaching from someone. Now, the thing is men have this unconscious thing to be so like independent to the point where they get so like do things for themselves that they don't take responsibility for themselves by not asking for help. Yeah. Does that make sense?
But I mean, even before that step.
Yeah.
I mean, if like they're just having a conversation and their boyfriend's being resistant or whatever.
Yeah.
Like.
Okay, it's actually opening him up into the conversation.
Yeah, because like if he can't even open up to her, he's not going to go and invest in coaching.
Okay, yeah, straight up. So the thing is with that is that just comes back to him not being in touch and being able to feel his feelings, right? And for girls, it's very easy for you guys, and this is really important to understand. It's easy for you guys to understand the emotional intelligence and you get the feelings, okay? And for you, it's like, why is he being unresponsive? Why is he not like talking about these things? Oh God, he seems like I'm talking to a bloody brick wall, right? Is that the scenario? Yeah.
That's the vibe.
So when that happens, it's understanding that's like, okay, if you were comparing, like doing a maths competition between someone who's 5 years old and like a university math scholar, that's the difference between the gaps in terms of the emotion
definitely.
and your partner. He needs to be baby stepped like through actual feeling, because his skills come in rational thinking, getting shit done, figuring out. But when it comes to emotions, it's like, okay, we haven't got that level of maturity yet. We haven't got that boss level. This is hard. So he needs to be treated with, and this is the key word here, compassion, right? So much compassion. The same way that you'd almost treat like a child or like a puppy, you know what I mean? Like you're just so nice to them. There's no judgments around.
I said that to one of my clients actually. Yeah, I said that to one of my clients because she was in a position where her partner just kept getting like defensive, reactive, and then would like shut off the conversation. She didn't know what to do. She's like, I'm fucking sick of it. And that's exactly what I said. I go, in the weirdest way, you need to treat him like he's a little boy. And I don't mean that in any form of disrespect to the man, but absolutely, because unfortunately, guys, when they're little, they're told to be a man. Grow up. Don't worry about it. You know, whatever, unintentionally. And it's definitely gotten better. Absolutely. But at the same time, as females, we've been encouraged to feel. We're allowed to feel, right? All those sorts of things. And like Corey said, we're a lot more.
We're not.
No, at all. And so I think you have to really remember that. And especially if you've been with your partner for a decent amount of time and spent time with his family, like you also need to look at their family. If you know for a fact that his dad and his brother or whatever don't know how to communicate with the mum or whatever, you also need to go, well, makes complete sense. And like you say, have complete compassion around the fact that, well, no wonder my partner can't communicate. You're going to have that conversation with him too. And you also have to be prepared to continually have that conversation again, because he's not going to fix it overnight.
Oh, man,
and like you say, I think compassion is huge, because as a female, it's so easy. And trust me, I know it's so easy to get so frustrated and upset. Well, why can't you just understand me? But I don't know how many times I fucking need to say to you that you don't listen to me. I don't understand, like how many times, whatever. And then you get hot, fiery, you start yelling. What does that do? He just shuts the fuck off and doesn't want to talk to you because you're being a reactive, fiery bitch. Like that's right. Yeah. So like, you need to really come in like from a place of compassion and literally and take responsibility as the female to choose. I'm not going to get reactive or try my hardest. I'm going to try and come from a place of, he is emotionally a little boy, and how can I work with him, not against him, to create this communication together.
Well, it's crazy because that's where like expectations are sort of like a little bit twisted, right? Because for men, we have this, expectation on ourselves that's if we provide and we work really hard and we do all these things, she's going to love me. But that's not valued anymore.
Not at all.
What she really values is emotional intelligence from the guy, because that's where she gets love. She can get everything else herself. Now, from the opposite, like
hot girl shit.
Yeah, from the opposite point of view, it's like girls really want guys to be like emotional and all those different things, but he's, with the expectations of that is he does need help with that.
100%.
So there's like a bit of a disconnect, and that's when girls can be like, well, now I'm unattracted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's when polarization and self-sabotaging in the relationships and unconscious manipulation occurs.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of, for modern relationships, having the girls actually take, like, because guys still value that. We will never, ever not value ourselves for working hard and trying to provide.
Fine, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something that is just ingrained like into our DNA, and that is what validates us as men to be like, I'm a man, I can do this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a bit harder to see value in, okay, that doesn't matter anymore. What matters is actually the emotional intelligence. But our best teacher is you.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're the one who knows how to feel. You're the one who knows how to do all that stuff. So even though guys taking responsibility for providing and all those different things isn't valued by you guys as much, number one still needs acknowledgement. But that's when the girls also need to take, because they're better at the emotional intelligence, they need to take the responsibility to help guide him. And like, it seems a little bit weird, but once a guy's got the hang of it, he's all good. It won't take him too long once he sort of understands.
I think girls forget that it is a two-way street.
Yeah,
Like
big time. I love this conversation that we're having right now.
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah, Chloe, saying that.
Me too, because I'm like, but this is something that I also realized talking about expectations, that I had the unconscious expectation, well, you should just know. And it's like, but fuck no, because also again, and I'm so large and all my clients know this, I'm so large on taking your own fucking responsibility. Where are you at fault here? And I think on that note, and a lot of girls can agree, you know, when your boyfriend does something like really small and he's like, babe, look at this, I did this. Babe, look at this, I did this, whatever. And you're like, he's asking for acknowledgement without realizing he's asking for acknowledgement. You can take that first step. Wow, babe, that's awesome. Why do you think he tries to piss you off 100 times? Hey, look at this, whatever, showing off whatever, because he wants you to acknowledge him. And whilst we said men may not have that level of emotional intelligence that we have yet, right, you can still be the catalyst for that, and you can still take part in helping him grow.
Yeah, and that's sort of like, if we were just putting it in terms of a girl's point of view, for men, if you want to take responsibility, it's sort of like acknowledgement intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where like your masculinity comes in. That's not a term that still exists. I'm just saying that for a matter of speech. But in terms of like you, where I get triggered as a guy is when your masculine energy comes up and I'm discussing ideas and I'm talking about, you know, what I'm thinking and like all these different things, or I'm actually stressed about something. I think as guys, when a girl's stressed about something, we do our absolute best to sort of really listen to you and pay as much attention as we can to you guys so that you feel good and whole, so that you can be happy again. We do this.
Yeah.
But when the guy's stressed or the guy's thinking about something, like what you do is you flare up and you go, oh, we'll just do this and fix it. And I'm like,
I do.
Or you go, or just do this thing. Like, all you need to do is this. Why don't you just call him? Why don't you just like trust what you think? Like, just do what your intuition says. Like, just do this. And I'm like, yo, you are shutting me off here. Like at every street. And I am getting so triggered. And in my defense,
like I was just trying to help him. Like, oh babe, if you just do this, it'll be fine. Like I wasn't intentionally shutting him down. But yeah, he had to bring it up after like the third time. We're like, Chloe, you just need to fucking listen. Like listen. I'm like, oh, okay, right. But again, if he hadn't brought that to my awareness, and on the topic of that too, you cannot sit there and have a sook.
Yeah.
If your partner is like, babe, I'm not asking for that, I need you to listen, it's not about you, it's about them and what they need. And to be received by you, they need you to listen.
And from the masculine point of view, as speaking from a man's point, it's not even listening, it's encouraging
and acknowledging.
It's I would say encouraging one-on-one, like the most. Like if you take it to another level, like girls, if you're listening right now and your partner's coming at you with a problem, right? He can figure it out himself, right? His brain is so wide because you try to think, oh, he's feeling bad. If he just does this or whatever it is, I can help him feel better. We don't give a shit about feeling better.
Yeah.
We want to figure out the problem. And the only thing that we need to figure out the problem isn't your advice on the problem. And we don't want you to shut off our feelings. All we need you to do is encourage us. Like what? Why do you think that is? And you're like, oh, this. Like, you do know you can do it. You're like, yeah, I know I can do it, but I'm thinking about this. Yeah. Like, that's awesome. Like, I believe in you. Yeah. You did this, and this beforehand. Like, you absolutely got it. And they're like, yeah, I have fucking got it. Yeah. And like, you hear that from especially someone like who you love as your partner, as a guy, like who you're emotionally, attracted to, because our value from our self-worth comes from you. Like so much of our self-worth, like literally comes from the girl. So as a guy, and I know every guy is listening and think this, if you have a partner as a guy, and if your partner's, I remember I talked to all my clients around this. I was like, imagine if your partner said to you, I just want to let you know that I acknowledge you for working hard in the gym. You look so jacked and you're getting it done and eating healthy and doing all these different things. You are such a powerful business owner. You're such a good leader. You can make awesome decisions and you know how to kick ass and get it done. And I'm so proud of you. Like, keep on going. As a guy, immediately, every single guy right now, if they're like, oh, if that come from a girl's voice, immediate boner. Like immediate. That is like, I remember saying that to some of my clients. They're like, okay, imagine if your partner said this. They're like, you have no idea how much I just needed to hear that in general. Yeah, wow. But we need to hear that all the time. So whenever we're doubting or whenever we're triggered or whenever we're trying to discuss a problem of ours, we're not stealing your sympathy or empathy away. Because I do feel like sometimes like, oh, if we're stressed out, it's like, well, how are you going to like hold space for me? You know what I mean? Because I've got all these emotions. Yeah. The guy is like, no, we just need like some encouragement. And that goes so far. Yeah. And we don't need it like once a week. It's like, however much love you need during the day is like how much encouragement we need back.
And on the topic of that too, I think girls get you know, and I've done this as well, you get really comfortable like assuming that you're the only one, not the only one, but you the one that needs it more. I need the more love. I need more attention. I need whatever, because girls, but exactly right. Like it actually, you do, both sides need it just as much, but just in different ways. And when you can, and like, I think I was quite selfish unintentionally to assume that like the way that I receive love is the way that I give love, and that is complete opposite. And so like Corey said, actually asking, how do you need love? And like Corey just said, he loves now when I encourage him. So that's something that I do on a regular fucking basis because he likes it. And if anybody's like me originally, I hated that because I was like, it's like you're telling me what to do, and that's not authentic then, and I don't like that. That's how I felt originally, and I'm just being honest because I know that somebody else listening is going to relate to that too. It's not. It's how your relationship's going to work. And I'm telling you right now, especially like Corey mentioned, in a modern relationship, they're not as they used to. Like Corey said, females can get all the shit on their own, right? We go get all the money. We go have all the jobs. We go fucking do this. We provide for ourselves.
And you guys are better at it because you don't have any ego and you're more organized.
I want that in a clip. I want that quoted. Thank you.
There's like literally, as along the lines, like just statistics, I don't know wherever I heard it was, so don't like quote me on this, but something along the lines of like the men who do achieve the big things, it's like 1 or 2% of like all men are the ones that are out there crushing all the stuff. Yeah. Like all the rest of them are just trying and trying and trying. The only difference between the ones at the top and the ones who don't is the ones who have like the serious emotional intelligence. So that's sort of the difference there. But at the same time, with all the girls listening, if they hear this and they go to their partner and they say, oh, how do you receive love? They get excited, like, tell me, how do you receive love? Every single guy's going to go, I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I receive love.
So how do you think then the female can go about it to their partner?
Oh, so it's leading by example. See, this is the thing, like, especially like with men, what we try to do is lead with love and lead by example all the time. And it takes a little bit of patience from the girl and understanding, 100%. But also understanding that there's going to be periods where you're not going to feel as attracted to your partner through this, especially if you're like sort of helping him feel the emotions. So it's like, okay, there's going to be parts where I'm not as attracted to him. And you can tell him that. Guys can take stuff on. Like we actually like can take stuff on. You can be like, you know, when you do these things, like it's not as attractive. But when you do this, it's really attractive. Yep. And then when they do the thing that's attractive, you go, hell yeah, that's so good. You look so good when you wear nice clothes. Like I didn't really start wearing like clothes until Chloe was like, oh, you look so hot wearing all these clothes. I'm like, yeah, I do. I'll buy some more clothes. But
it's true. And I think on the opposite end of that, females have to get really comfortable in also receiving that, because I think originally before I had met you and we've been able to have like such a conscious relationship, it's been fucking amazing. But like if Corey was to say to me now, like I'm unattracted to you when you do this, I'd be able to constructively take that on board. Before I would have fucking cried in a heap on the floor, being like, he doesn't love me anymore.
That's a fear of leaving.
It is. It's a fear of rejection. It's a fear of abandonment, whatever, right? So you really need to get comfortable. And like you said, absolutely, I love the lead with example, because it's like you need to take responsibility again for helping your partner, because as we said, if he's got the like emotional maturity of somewhat of a little boy right now, he's going to need your guidance a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And like and how to do that is just living it, just like saying to your partner, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm just letting you know, and that's the scariest thing for girls, that I receive so much love and I feel so much closer to you and I feel so attractive to you. Every time when you get home and you're stressed out and you're busy from work, you come out, you find me, you give me a really big hug, you whisper something cute into my ear and give me a conscious kiss on the cheek before you do anything else. Yeah. And if you told that to him, he's like, oh, fuck yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I am the man.
He'll take maybe 1 or 2 days because he likes to surprise. Guys, we always have this thing where like, oh, I like to surprise a girl. Like when you message me beforehand, I was like, hell yeah, going to get Chloe a coffee, do these things, already organized. And then you message me saying, oh, have you gotten a coffee yet? And I just wrote back, hee, because I didn't want you to know that I'd gotten coffees. Yeah. I'm like, I want to give it to you as like a surprise. I want to have this thing. And then you're like, I want an iced one. And I was like, God damn it, I already bought the other one. Shit. So then like I had to change.
He came through, guys.
Yeah, I ran over to the people at the thing and I was like, make it iced. The hazelnut latte with sparkles, make it iced. And so we like to make it a surprise. So if you ask straight away, like just wait, give him a day or two, because he's like got to pluck up the nerves because he wants to make it something special. And then wait, because one of the days he's going to come up, he's going to cuddle you like you've never been cuddled before.
So fucking tight.
Whisper something sexy in your ear, kiss you on the cheek, and just be like, hey, babe, just want to let you know I was thinking about you all day today. Yeah. And then before he goes in.
Girls, cute, melting.
Yeah. And then, you know, in your example, you turn around and be like, you have no idea how much I appreciate that. Yeah. I love you so much. And for him, then he gets to be a hero.
Yeah, chest puff.
Oh, yeah, I am the man. You know, I can look after my lady. You know what I mean? Like, I'm all about that. So it's asking for those things, and then he'll go, oh, well, if she's asking for those, I can ask too.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, I love it just when you scratch my neck.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God, Corey says that because he loves arguing. If anyone got fake nails, every guy is easy. You give him a head scratch, he's like, I will be committed to you for the rest of your life.
Ever.
Yeah.
won't leave.
I like that though. What if it's like people listening to this and they're like, that's so far out of my partner's reach? What do you say to those girls?
Well, what were your original thoughts when you come in, and then I'll be able to reflect? You know,
In all honesty, if you, and like I say, female, we got that gut intuition knowing. If you really don't think he's capable, he's really not the one.
Did you think I was capable when we first met?
Yeah.
You did? From the very get-go?
Yeah, because not that you modeled it all, but you were willing to give it a shot. You weren't perfect. Yeah. Nobody's fucking perfect, especially not me. You know, even though I love to pretend.
You thought I was like a load of shit for a while
did.
there.
I was waiting for him because he was just so open to giving things a shot and trying and receiving me and holding me for all. And I remember like from one of the very first, oh my God, like it hurts my heart every time I think about it. He's like, but I love all of you. So that's the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things. And it's like, if someone actually, and you know, it doesn't have to be love yet, right? Let's say it's early relationship. If somebody cares about you enough, they're going to be willing to try. They're going to be willing, even if they just listen, it's a start. And I really think if you've tried multiple times, you haven't made it all about you, because as girls, we love to make it all about us. It's amazing, you know, whatever. And if he still isn't really responding, I would say don't bother, because there's going to be someone that's going to meet you in a position where they're going to be willing to try. That's just my own opinion.
We actually want it to be all about you, by the way. Like, you know, when like we finish our work days or whatever, and it's a bit different when we're both running like high functioning businesses. But like, for example, where was I getting at with that?
We want it to be all about us.
Yeah, we actually like it. When if I finish my big work day and you start asking me a whole bunch of questions, how it is, why is this, why
oh my
that?
God, he's like, babe, it's too late.
I'm like, stop. Like, stop asking me. I actually want to hear about your day, and like, please tell me, like, go nuts. I'm listening. I'm listening to all of it, and I encourage you, because I just want you to just feel like we just get so much satisfaction when you're happy, and you, like, as you mentioned before, in taking responsibility, you can just choose to be happy. You know that when you're sad, you got emotions to figure out. You can dance, you can talk to us, you can do whatever.
Transmute the energy, bad bitches.
Oh yeah, and we love watching it. You know what I mean? Pure masculine energy, for example, is this, right? And you see this in, I should use this example for it between masculine and feminine, right? Masculine is the watcher.
Yep.
We just like sitting down and watching.
Yep.
The feminine is the dancer.
Woohoo!
So they're the one who's dancing and moving. That's why, you know, real feminine girls, you get out to a club, you hear some music, you're like, I need to dance. Like, oh my God. And you'll see like all the girls dancing, but then you just see all the masculine dudes with like the beers and stuff just sitting back, just like watching.
Yeah,
like,
that's actually a really good example.
This is the best. So, but there's parts of you when you're masculine and you just want to watch. And it shows up in sexual polarization, like in sex.
Yep.
For example,
Yep.
in the guys just holding the space, and let's say, for example, let's just get into it here. It's cowgirl, the girl's on top of him. The guys like to sit there and watch all parts of the body, the noises, the sounds, the movement. He's like, this is the best. You know what I mean? This is the masculine thing. It's me and my absolute masculine just watching all of this.
Yep.
And then,
it's art.
Yeah. And then for the girl's point of view, it's like, okay,
she's doing the doing.
I'm moving, I'm doing the stuff, and I'm feeling myself in my feminine power right now.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So that's like a real good way of separating the differences, but we also have both of those inside ourselves. Like sometimes as a guy, you're like, you know, if we're talking about sex, for example, it's like, I want to perform. Watch me go. You know what I mean? I'm going to get into the flow and I'm going to go here, and this is going to be like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So it's understanding those dynamics, not just in a sexual, I'll use that as an example, but like everywhere else. You got the watcher and the dancer. That's a good way of explaining it.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
So Chloe, what's your experience in terms of leaning into trust, like in our relationship? Because as I mentioned, like beforehand, I think a better compliment is if, you know, you tell someone you love them. So, yeah, I love you. But it's more a compliment to say to someone, I trust you.
It's huge.
So what's your journey with us been and leaning into trust?
It makes me feel sick.
Why?
Because it was so hard. So hard.
I still think you still haven't fully like you trust me 100%, but there's depths of your trust that haven't unlocked yet.
And a lot of people do, and a lot of girls do. If you've got quote unquote daddy issues, it's going to be quite hard for you. And I've openly talked about this a lot of times. And I think the journey has just, I don't even know really where to begin, because like I said, I think the beginning part of our relationship, like I really was just expecting it to not work. I was waiting because what had happened for me in the past was guys were so good at the beginning and then they just like dwindled off, whether it was a ghosting, whether they cheated, like whatever it was. And so like I was just waiting for that to happen. So I felt like even though it was so much fun and you were like, you know, your best self always is on the forefront with me always. And so like but I still felt like I was dancing on eggshells with that. I was like, I'm just waiting for one to crack. I'm waiting for it to go and it still didn't. And it was the consistency with you, I think, that was like allowed me to be able to lean in like a bit by bit. And I would say it's slow fucking burn. And it's like you say, it's not even fully there yet. And it's like if someone was to ask me outright, like, do you trust Corey? Like, fuck yeah, with my life. Like, I'd give you all my money tomorrow. Like, you know, because I do trust you wholeheartedly. But at the same time, the journey has been so emotional.
Well, how have you like opened up into more trust? And what has been some of like the stories, you know, between us or experiences?
I feel like you're asking this question because you have an example.
I don't. That's why literally I wish I did have an example because I need to trying to get from your perception.
I think even just like my ability to like let you do things was huge because I was always the doer. So actually letting you go out and like, you know, oh, can you let me plan dinner? Can you let me organize a date? Can you let me drive you here? Can you let me pay for this? Like for me, even that was hard. So like that was like, you know, 1 inch forward. And then like, I feel like after every little hurdle, it was quite emotional for me. Like it was a lot because I was like, ugh, because I was so afraid in the weirdest way of like losing a part of myself. That's what I thought it was going to be like. Fun fact though, I'm actually more myself now than I ever was, which is so crazy. I think, I don't know, I can't even think of any other example.
Yeah, you seem so you've been like shining the past couple of months.
I have. Everybody noticed as well.
Just nuts.
It's what happens when you get the right person.
Well, I'd like to give people, well, it's when you're the right person as well. I'd like to give people some sort of tips and some tools for where we're at in terms of things that we say. What are some things that you notice? We'll start maybe that you notice that I say in terms of in our relationship when I bring things to attention. Because people are like, oh, well, what are some stuff that we can actually say or do as like tangible things? What are some things that I say or even that you say that you know that really help in certain situations?
You always acknowledge things that I do, even if it's not in that moment. Like it's huge because I've never been acknowledged. Like if you're a female, and pretty much all females do it, right? We go in above and beyond always. We'll pick up the slack. We do this. We do
Always
that. We're
the most
givers.
amount of love,
We will like, yep. And like, so before I had never been appreciated for anything. And even if it's like 24 hours, 48 hours, a week later, Corey's like, hey babe, like I just want you to know that when you did this, like I appreciate that so much. It's in one text. It's like fucking not even 10 words, but it's enough to like, I don't think I'm just like, oh my God, this is the best. Like literally though, it's again, and maybe that's because I am more masculine, but the acknowledgement for me is huge.
Yeah, well, you did all these like millions of little things. My mum, when she come around over the weekend, you did all these little extra favors. And I was like, oh, I have got to notice like Chloe for this because, you know, she really put in that effort. And if, you know, she's not acknowledged, you know what I mean? Like it might be harder for her to really receive or fall into love because she's gone out of her way. So there's been like a balance, there's a gap. And for me to feel that right now, I need to acknowledge it.
Yeah. And I think for me, I'd noticed it. And, you know, I probably could ask for that now too if something wasn't acknowledged. Like I could be like, babe, it would have been nice if you said thank you for this, even if it's just something small, because what happens for myself personally is if I'm not acknowledged, resentment builds up, which is very common. And then I'll just be resentful and angry at him and he'll have no fucking idea why.
Goddamn Brittany.
Brittany's my inner mean bitch.
It's Brittany, bitch.
All right, your turn.
What else? Any others that you can think of?
No, you go and I'll have a think of one.
So one thing that it is what I do.
It's all about him now.
It's all about me, guys. Sorry, but I'll just bring to awareness when we're emotionally disconnected.
Yeah.
I'll just say like, hey, just letting you know, like between us right now, there's like a disconnection.
Yeah.
Or I'll say like, I'm feeling like connected to you, or we could feel more connected, or we could be in love right now. Or when we're in the middle of an argument as well, I will say, just letting you know, we're going to get through this. There's light at the end of the tunnel and this will pass and we will love each other again.
Yeah.
At the moment we're in it.
Do you know, as a female, fuck me, do you know how amazing it is to hear that in the middle of an argument when you're being a raging bitch and like it's your fault and he's just like, babe, like I love you. We're going to get through this. It's going to be fine. And I'm like, shut the I can't even, I don't even know what I was angry at anymore.
Yeah. Like, we're going to get through this. This is what's going to happen. So I'm just bringing to attention when we're in a state of emotional disconnection. Yes, we're disconnected right now.
Yeah.
Yes, there's like, we're angry at each other right now and frustrated, but we're going to get through it. Like, It's just a period of time,
Yeah.
you know, as hectic as it feels at the moment, it's like it will surpass. That's one thing that I always try to do is even when we're, you know, even slightly bickering, you know what I mean? If there's like a little something going on, it's like, is there like, there's emotional disconnection right here. I want more love. Like, why isn't there? And then we talk about it because, you know, I think both partners should like demand as much love as possible from the other.
Yeah.
I think it's so important, especially in a modern relationship, because thinking about it, just looking at our world, macroeconomics, we've got everything.
Yeah.
We've got everything.
Yeah, we do.
And we're allowed to feel as much as we want.
Yeah, it's a privilege.
It's a privilege. And the only difference between, you know, being able to feel as much as we like is just allowing ourselves to.
Yeah, which is huge.
And just saying, hey, look, I want to feel these amazing emotions. You know what I mean? I don't have to do this. I don't have to do blah, blah, blah. It's like, I just want to feel these emotions.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to give them to you. I just need them reciprocated back somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can choose to do that, which I think is like just amazing.
Yeah. I don't know what I do. There's lots of things that I do, but I can't think of anything.
Well, I think I was like recently, especially over the past couple of months, it's like your level of awareness. Like you post a lot of stuff on your stories, social media about me, and I love that so much. It makes me feel so special. Because I asked. Yeah, it makes me feel so special. You acknowledge me and encourage me, and you also, you know, when I talk about something, it's like you listen. Like I remember, you know, the go fix it. You were the go fix it person, which is majority of the men do that. And I was saying like, hey, like letting you know, I need encouragement.
Fix it, Felix.
Yeah, like you can just do this, you can do this, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And like you just listening.
But that's also
encouraging.
That was also me taking responsibility and not taking the woe is me pity party way out when he said, I don't need you to fucking fix it, Chloe. I need you to listen. Old me would have been like, oh, it's all about me. I'm so sad.
You know what? I would say like. It's your femininity. It's just you're just so much more open.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, well, in terms of love, what is it? It's giving and receiving. You know what I mean? We're defining that. It's like you just receive.
Yeah.
And it's aware of that. And then you're giving me love afterwards, just being like, I love you.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I do too, which might sound silly, I actually have to take responsibility for my own space.
Oh, yeah.
Because Corey, even though we are both extremely, if you can't tell, extroverted personalities, like I actually also recharge on my own.
Empath.
I'm hard. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. And so like I have to, whether it's happened the other day, like I have to take responsibility in an argument in order to protect him from me to say, I need 5 minutes, I need 10 minutes, I need to go, and not running away, which is what I used to try and do in arguments. It's different from running away.
Yeah, we'll stay there. You won't leave.
No.
You just sit there and be quiet.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to just go because like I get hot and heavy and fiery when I feel upset about something or if there's an argument or whatever. That's just my response, the way that my ego responds.
You go full Italian and give me the
hand. Yeah, absolutely. And so like, yeah, like in the reason that I do that actually isn't for me, it's for you, because I know full well that I will start to get resentful of you, angry at you, fucking.
You've said some stuff beforehand sometimes, and I'm like, it's so funny as a guy. Like, I think it's really important to know, like within the girl as well. So you can, as a girl, it'd be awesome as a guy if you brought this attention after an argument. As a guy, I'm quite aware of like the feminine within inside you, and I know that you're going to find any weakness that I have when you're triggered, and goddamn poke it. You're going to find the biggest, hottest knife that you can, and just drive it in when you're triggered. And like, you won't even mean to do it. You'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that, but I did it. Yeah. And then you'll see this weakness in him. You're like, oh God, that's unattractive. Like, yeah, well, maybe you just blah, blah, blah. And then like you dive it in, and then we're like, what? And like, then you're like, shit, I didn't mean to say that, but I have to. You know what I mean? like you just start doing that. Facts. And we're just getting like, okay, I'm getting attacked right now. And I tell you, like, why am I so attacked? Like, why are you attacking me? But even after the argument, as a girl, if you clarify those things and bring it to attention, like, hey, just letting you know, I said all these things, super unconscious, didn't mean them. That was my emotions. That was my inner girl just coming out, that toxic feminine.
And I mean, bitch, Brittany.
Yeah, just coming.
It's Brittany,
oops,
bitch.
I did it again.
No, but like for real. And then again, that brings it back to my point every single time is taking responsibility. If there is an argument and you are 150 million% blaming your partner, you still played some part in it.
Oh yeah, all the time. And I think that's just good leadership is, you know, I define a good leader as someone who can take responsibility in any situation or scenario. They can take their fair share of responsibility no matter what.
Yep. And have compassion in that too, which we spoke about earlier too, you know, because it's like, you know, we're all human. we're all part of this human experience doing this shit together. And like you say, I think when you open yourself up so much more, you get to experience so much more love and things like that as well. And in that, you also have to be willing to hold the other shit that comes with it too.
Oh man, we can feel so much love if we just let ourselves too.
It's the best. You're a big softie.
Yeah. Well, we all love. You know what I mean? Deep down, we just want to.
Delicious.
We just want to feel all the love. You know what I mean?
I'm like, love me. I feel like that's it.
Well, how do you want to wrap it up?
I don't. That was it.
Okay, well, I'll just wrap it up for everyone who's listening in terms of finding Chloe and I. Obviously, you can see Chloe's
you'll
Instagram
know where to find me.
Page. I've got a podcast, Corey Bauer Podcast. You can follow, subscribe to that. Chloe runs mindset coaching now. She's absolutely crushing it for women.
Thank you.
And also got the online PT. She's hiring a bunch of coaches, which is amazing. So reach out to that. On my end, obviously got Overcome the Chaos, men's self-development
not
program.
Obviously. He runs a self-development program.
Yeah. But we're also doing, which is really cool what I'm releasing, is I'm creating like a whole relationship communication course at the moment.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, for men and women, which is sick.
I also feel like if you are, and I've got a couple clients that are in a relationship where you both run a business, one of them runs a business, whatever, I feel like this would be perfect for you.
Yeah, probably.
Huge.
I've gone so deep into this one. It's going to be
it's Corey's
so
specialty.
Insane. It's my specialty with the things, the communication stuff. So yeah, so that's like really awesome. And we've got obviously a couple of programs and things coming out, masterclasses, so everyone just be aware of those. And in the meantime, just for everyone who's listening, I like to leave everyone, because I know it's just a challenge or an action to take after this. So maybe we could just come up with one challenge, one action to take.
Mine would be a journal prompt. Where can I take responsibility in my relationship right now? 100%.
Oof.
That's huge.
All right. So I'm going to go on from Chloe's. So one is do that. And then the next thing is walk up to your partner.
Oh, God.
Stare them in the eyes and tell them how you most receive love.
Yeah, like
just
that.
letting you know, and maybe reflect on the last week. When you did this, and this,
Yep.
I felt all the love.
On the topic of that, come from a place of acknowledgement. Make sure it's coming from, hey, babe, when you said this, did this, kissed me in public, held my hand in the supermarket, whatever it may be. Like, I just freaking was so damn attracted to you.
I got wet.
I'm so sorry,
My knickers
Mum.
are soaked. As a guy, you're like, yeah, I'll do that again. You want me to tell how much I love you? Jesus.
Yeah.
So you want me to put something on my story? I'll put it on my story. God damn.
That's huge. So go and do that and peace out, motherfuckers.
Peace.